Archer, are you in the room?
We are ready to rock.
All right, cool. If you're ready, I will go ahead and do your intro.
All right. I didn't know I get an intro. Our team is excited. Thank you.
No problem. I'm super excited too. So, good morning, everyone. Welcome. And I have to apologize for the shakiness in my voice. If you were over there listening to the John Gordon morning kickoff, I mean, what an amazing session. I hope you all got a chance to see it. If you didn't, it is on our YouTube channel. So make sure you're checking that out at YouTube /EXP Realty. This session is also being live streamed there. I'll put down in the chat box after I get done with the intro what the link is for the YouTube so that you can go follow it. But we are super excited to have you here. Thank you for being here. You're in store for another awesome breakout session. What a crazy good week, right? I mean, everybody here has got to have taken something amazing away from this, and I certainly have taken so many good things. I've caught so many good classes. My name is Randy. I'm with the agent development team. If you've ever seen anything in the on-demand video library or any of the streaming sessions, that's mostly what I've been working on. So I'm super excited to be here and be part of this. So today we are in track 5. This is the expansion track. I want to direct everybody's attention really quickly to the slide behind me. We're going to do some quick housekeeping and then I'm going to turn it over. So first of all, if you could please make sure that your microphones are muted in the lower left-hand corner of your screen. That will help us to avoid having any of those audio issues that we sometimes have. But if you do end up with any sort of audio issues, maybe you lose sound or something in the middle of the presentation, the best way that we found to solve that is just to pop out of the room, pop back in. Usually that fixes it. And for some reason that doesn't take care of it for you, go ahead and just restart your EXP world. Usually that will really fix the problem. And then if for some reason you're still not getting audio, you may want to stop by the tech support department and they can get you squared away and then come back as soon as you can. If you miss any of it though, don't worry. Like I said, we are recording and live streaming everything. And then finally, I don't think we're doing a survey today, right? Nope. So tech support is the last thing. And with that being said, we have a really, really exciting panel today. Go ahead and type down in the chat box, everyone, if you're excited about this panel today. Just a thumbs up, a yes, something. Let's get our blood flowing, get engaged. And with all that, I'm going to run back and get a great spot and turn it over to Mitch Robinson.
All right. Thanks, Randy. Thanks so much. Good morning or good afternoon, everybody, depending on where you are. Welcome to our session on real estate marketing trends. I will bring up our panelists in a second because they are way more interesting than I am. This has truly been an outstanding week for all of us. I want to give a special welcome not only to those of you in EXP world, our virtual world, but the many, many people that are watching this live streamed right now on YouTube. For those of you that this is the only thing you've come to all week, we have been running our conference that originally was supposed to be in Orlando in our virtual world, as well as streaming for anybody that wants to attend. We've had over 75 breakouts this week, of which this is one of them. We had a great keynote earlier this morning, and we had a great general session on Tuesday featuring our leadership team and many guests. So we are in the home stretch here and appreciate that all of you are joining us, whether you are an EXP agent, an investor, or just someone that wants to get smart about what's going on with real estate marketing trends. And as Randy said, my favorite part about this is not only are we live streaming this, but we're recording this. So as we talk about trends, I look forward to going back and watching this 10 years from now. That's a joke. And seeing how smart we all are. So with that, panelists, come on up and we will introduce you. Here they come. Come on up, guys. Right up to the front here, where everybody can see you, whether they're here in the world or watching the live stream. First of all, thank all of you for making time in your busy weeks to be here. To start with, I'd like each of you just to introduce yourself. Who are you? Where are you located? Maybe how long you've been in real estate and how long you've been with EXP. So Bick, let's start with you. Good morning, good afternoon. Turn that mic on, Bick.
Sorry, everybody. All right, there we go.
There we go.
There we go. Hi, everybody. I'm Vic DeCaro with Vic DeCaro and Associates in Northern Virginia, and I've been in real estate for 20 years. And I just joined EXP in December, so I'm a newbie, but I love it so far, and I'm so thrilled to be here with everybody today.
And Vic, tell us what part of the country, where are you located?
In Northern Virginia, outside of Washington, D.C.
Okay, perfect, great. Thanks for joining us. I've had the pleasure of working with Vic for years, and it's great to have you up here. Next, we have Renee Funk from Orlando. Renee, say hi to everybody and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello there, everyone. Renee Funk here in Orlando, Florida. I am a team leader of the Funk Collection together with my husband, Jeffrey Funk. We have been with EXP for coming up on 3 years. Our 3-year anniversary will be here before we know it. And I have been in the real estate industry licensed for 7 years, but I like to say I've been in real estate for about 2 decades, just by proximity of hanging out with my husband, Jeffrey Funk. Thank you all for coming. I'm excited to share today.
Yeah, I wish we could do a whole other session on husband and wife teams, partner teams, because I always find them fascinating. I'm always curious what you talk about at Thanksgiving and when you're hanging out at the pool, but we'll save that for another session, Renee. Let's move on to Tiffany, also from Central Florida. Tiffany, good morning. Good afternoon.
I am from Virginia, Tiffany Gelzenis.
Sorry, Tiffany, I was thinking about
okay.
salmon.
No worries. There's 2 T's up here, so I get it. Tiffany Gelzenis. I'm from Virginia Beach, Virginia. I serve the southern east coast of Virginia, and I've been in real estate about 5 years. I've been with EXP for, it'll be 3 years on June 1st. So coming up on that 3-year anniversary, similar to Renee. And yeah, I think that's about it.
Great, and thanks for being here. And help me. I'm a West Coaster, so my geography is a little iffy up in Virginia. You and Vic, are you in the same market or pretty close? How should we think about that?
So it's actually, we pretty much collectively would cover the entire east coast of Virginia. So Vic is the northern coast area around DC, and I'm the southern coast area.
All right, perfect, great. Thanks for being with us. And finally, Tannen, who is the other person from Central Florida. So we could have renamed this Real Estate Marketing Trends for Florida and Virginia, but I know we're going to talk about the whole country. Tannen, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey there. Hi, everyone. Tannen Teston with the Teston team, and I'm with my husband, Dan, and we've got a buyer's agent, and we are located in the east area of Orlando, about halfway between downtown Orlando and the East Coast beaches of Daytona and Cocoa Beach. So we cover that eastern Orlando area. And I've been in real estate. I've got my license for 4 years now, but prior to that, I worked 17 years in title and closings and managed closing offices. Great
to be here. And I've had the pleasure of meeting you and your husband when I was down in the Orlando area, so it's great to see you again virtually today. Where I always like to start with a panel like this is, we're going to talk not only about trends, but we're also going to talk about what's going on right now, because I know everybody's super interested in that. But, sometimes I go to these panels and then I don't know about the rest of you in the audience. Afterwards, I'm like, how do they do it all? What's really going on in their office? How do they run their team or their individual, being an individual agent? So my first question I want to ask each of you, and Tannen, let me just start with you, I think. Can you just tell us how you run things? I think you just mentioned maybe that you have a buyer's agent, but tell us, like, resource-wise, what do you have available? Is it you and your husband? Do you have other people? How are you running things?
So when my husband first brought me onto his team, here I thought I would never be a realtor, never had an interest in being in real estate. But after so many years in title, he said, I'm getting bigger. I'm going to hire an assistant. And I said, well, wait a minute, before you spend the money on that, I'll come in and I will be your behind the scenes transaction coordinator, your marketing. I'll do all that stuff besides show homes and go to appraisals and be on the forefront. I'm very introverted. So I said, I really want to stay behind the scenes. So initially when I came on, that was my role, was everything behind the desk. And slowly we've gotten busier and busier to where we tag team. And if he can't go to showings, I'll go do it, or appraisals or anything like that. We just recently, within the last 3 months, brought in a buyer's agent who's a total rock star, go-getter, and it's his first year in real estate. So it's exciting to see how he's grown. But pretty much my job is all the marketing, all the behind-the-scenes things, and I get the transactions in and we kind of divvy them out, listings to my husband, and if we've got any buyers, send them over to our buyer's agent.
Great. Tiffany, same question for you in Virginia. Resource-wise, how are you set up?
So I have a full-time admin, and she helps out with the behind-the-scenes stuff, like what Tannen does. Most of the marketing and branding stuff, I would say I manage. That being said, obviously trying to leverage out whatever I can with admin staff and outsourcing some things. I do have a team. I have one other full-time agent and then a few other part-time agents that are on my team. So in total, there are 6 of us. But I would say really it's more like 3. So, but a good collection of people. My team's not really a one-size-fit-all kind of model.
Perfect. That makes total sense. And again, I hope this is helpful for you in the audience, because as you listen to these folks, initially just talk about how they're set up. It may help you when we obviously talk about what they're doing marketing wise to go, yeah, that person's kind of set up like I am, or someday I want to have an operation like they do. Renee, let's go over to you. You mentioned that obviously you work with your husband, but tell us how you guys are set up.
Jeff and I initiated our team about 3.5 years ago, and our current dynamic is we're a team of 15 agents. We have a full-time admin who's amazing, and I like to say that Jen is the glue that really holds us all together. She's a rock star. We have a first call agent, which is similar to an ISA, but the first call agent is that point person who's calling our incoming lead sources. And we also have a full-time transaction coordinator to support all of the transaction concierge contract to close.
And for kind of the marketing things you do, and I know you guys do a lot, who's doing all of that? Are you doing it? The kids doing it for you? How are you able to fit that all in?
Well, I will tell you that I am not at all afraid to ask my 10-year-old and 14-year-old for social media advice, because let me tell you, if you have teenagers, pre-teenagers, they have their finger on that pulse, and it's really interesting to get their thoughts from a different perspective. As far as our team dynamic on marketing, our assistant helps out a lot. Jen is amazing, so I get a lot of support from her as far as marketing, and then that's a great deal of how I invest my time in the team, is that marketing support role as well.
Great. And Bick, finally, like I said it when we started, I've been so fortunate to kind of watch you grow and really expand what you're doing in Virginia. Tell us how you're set up.
Right, thanks. Yeah, when we first met, it was just me by myself, Mitch. And now I'm up to a team of 5, and we're adding on a couple more team members, hopefully over the next few weeks. I have a client care coordinator, Cora, who's been with us for 5 years. She helps with transaction management. She pretty much handles everything. Once things goes under contract, she takes over, and then that frees us up to do, a lot more sales. And we have a director of client services. That's Paul, who's also been with us for a while. That helps with pretty much anything that's needed on the team that services the clients, kind of like a concierge service. We call him our Swiss Army knife. So he helps with, a lot of miscellaneous things on the team, but again, allows us in the sales area to kind of be with the clients and bring in the business and then close it. I also have a director of listing services, Kristen Daly, who is really helping us with a lot of our marketing, our comps, and prepping our listings to make sure that they're looking good before they go live. She helps us with everything that's relating to before the listing hits the market, and then services it all until that it goes under contract and goes to Cora once it goes under contract. And then we have a buyer's agent, Sarah, who helps with all of our inbound leads and clients. And then I also am still in production, so I sell both listing and buying.
Great. Thanks, Vic. And congratulations again on your success. All right, let's talk a little marketing here, everybody. When we talk about marketing trends and marketing in general, that can be so many things. I mean, it can be lead generation, community outreach, social media, branding. I mean, I want to dig into as many of these as we have time for. And odds are, I'm thinking for some of you, what you're doing today may be a trend tomorrow for the rest of us or not. But first, I want to ask my only kind of eXp Realty question, which the more I think about it is probably more of just an overall branding question, that whether you're with eXp or any other company as a real estate agent, maybe this applies. I've always said that one of the unique things about eXp when it comes to branding is our agents can be anywhere on the pendulum, meaning some of our agents use eXp Realty pretty extensively in their branding, and others have really invested in their own local brand. And it's funny, I'm the CMO of the company, but I have no ego in this situation. I'm a big believer in whatever works for all of you is the right solution, whatever helps you engage in your community. And that can be different if you're a new agent or established agent or so many other factors. So I'd love to ask each of you, your local brand versus the brokerage that you're part of, eXp Realty, and how you use both or don't use both. There's no right or wrong answer here. And I think Tiffany, let's start with you. How do you balance the brands?
Sure. So it's actually an interesting question that has a lot of weight, because when I was with a previous brokerage, I basically abided by the minimums of what would pass legally. But that's a little different for me now, and I would say I advertise equally both my brand as well as eXp's. I want agents in our community to know that eXp is a producing company, that we have high-level producers that are doing business. So I do make sure that the eXp branding is just as large on my sign as my own. Now, that being said, my brand colors are black and white, so I use the black and white version of the eXp logo on all of my stuff. But I think I do a pretty good job of using both brands equally.
Okay, great. Vic, you're pretty new to eXp. I've always thought of you as been pretty well established in your market. So did you change your branding significantly? Like, what matters to your clients or potential clients where you are?
Right. So when I first, basically for many years, I was with the same brokerage, 20 years, a small boutique firm. And it was really about branding myself and my team name, and then it was just that for so many years. And I always had the question of, does it matter if I have a big brokerage name behind me or not? And for a while there, it really didn't seem like it, right? The business was growing. In the short time that I've been with eXp, I actually have always used the eXp logo along with my all the marketing that I do. And what it's done is it's really leveraged us in the sense that all these other top teams, like Tiffany mentioned, across the country, people are like, wow, this is a national company. It's going global, information like that. So I think that that's helped, in addition to just not only with the clients, like sellers that I'm working with, it's also brought attention to our area, because eXp is not huge in Northern Virginia, but other agents have called me about it because they're hearing about eXp, right? So by having it on there, they're calling and asking me about it. So it's been great for me, and I definitely use it on our marketing.
So it sounds like it's kind of spread your reach a little bit.
Absolutely, for sure.
Yeah. Tannen, you're a husband and wife team, and my impression of meeting you guys is like one of the best advantages that you guys have are the two of you. So I'm kind of curious what you guys think in terms of how you use the national brand versus your own very important brand.
Yeah, so my husband, he was in real estate as a realtor long before me for about 8 years, and he had been with large companies and different offices, and he never once marketed those companies. He always told me, it's more about selling yourself, it's marketing yourself. And up until we joined eXp, that's what we did. We marketed ourselves. We thought, nobody cares what real estate brokerage we're with, right? They're buying and selling, and they're trusting us and not just our company that we're holding our license with. But it was kind of a aha moment for me. But when we switched over to EXP, we're EXP, all of our things that we do. When I do a video online, I introduce myself as, hi, I'm Tannen Teston with the Teston team, brokered by EXP Realty. And now it's just so natural. I say it all the time. So I asked on Facebook, I asked my friends on Facebook, I said, who knows which brokerage I'm with? Just off the top of your head, does anybody even know what brokerage I'm with? And about 95% of the people all knew the brokerage. They knew the name. And I thought, oh, okay, so maybe people do pay attention to who I'm with. And I thought about it because our children, our 9 and our 12-year-old, every time they see an EXP sign or they see anything about EXP, they immediately tell us, and it reminds them of us. My daughter even made me a little friendship bracelet that has EXP colors because we love our company. And I thought, you know what, that makes sense. I want everybody who's in our sphere, everybody who we know, if they see an EXP sign, whether that's our name on the sign or not, I want them to think of us. I want it to be doing the same. So we continue to use all of the EXP marketing and the branding and putting it right up there with us, because I think in their heads and their minds, when they see those signs, I really want them to think of us as well.
Yeah, I like what you're saying, and I've heard many agents say this regardless of what brokerage they work for, that, with you guys, it sounds like it kind of goes back and forth. Like, you make the EXP brand better, and the EXP brand makes you better.
Absolutely.
I think that's fantastic. Renee, I know you well enough that I can joke around with you a little bit. I actually think your last name is great branding by itself, because we all know the word funk, and it's really easy to remember, to me personally. So I'm curious how you think of branding in Orlando. Is funk important? Is your brokerage important? EXP Realty? How do you use both of them?
That's a great question, and thank you for the nod regarding the name. I definitely married well and have the coolest last name on the planet, just saying. Thank you, Jeffrey. Thank you, Funk family. So a little homage to my now teenager. The Funk Collection, which is our team name, actually was the creative idea of our then probably 7-year-old, well, no, I guess he was younger, 10 years old, I think. We were sitting at the kitchen table and he came up with the team name, and so we went with it and we love it. As far as branding and the relationship between your individual or team brand and the brokerage, that's been an evolution for us, which I will say EXP Realty has, in my opinion, one of the most liberal branding requirements I've ever seen of any brokerage. Which,
you're welcome. I'd just like to say you're welcome. Go ahead.
Well, we're grateful for that. And I think as a brokerage, we should all be grateful for that, because we all know that we are our brand. Our customers work with us because of the relationships that we earn and build with us. That said, the brand can definitely enhance you. EXP has very liberal rules. In Florida, we had a shift, though, in 2019, that we have certain guidelines in the state of Florida that we have to abide by, of course. And so we did make a little pivot to stay compliant here in Florida. But quite frankly, EXP Realty and the Funk Collection goes hand in hand. I will piggyback on Tannen's sentiment that when we announce ourselves, we'll say, I'm Renee Funk with the Funk Collection, brokered by EXP Realty. And that is who we are, very proudly, in fact.
Great. That makes a ton of sense, and I'm anxious to ask you more. I know you do some sponsorships in the area, and we'll get to that in a moment. Let me totally shift gears here now as we kind of talk about marketing. I've been in so many sessions this week, and it's hard not to have a session without talking about what's going on right now. The pandemic has affected, so many people in so many ways. and it almost seems like you belittle the seriousness of it when you talk about marketing, but it is part of our job. So I want to get into that a little bit. And Vic, let me start with you. Um, how do you generally think about kind of marketing yourself? Like, have things changed during the last couple months? Are there things you're doing more of or less of? Are you sensitive to certain things? Does it not bother you? I mean, I've learned to kind of say every opinion out there is a valid opinion, and I've seen so many different ones. But I'm curious during the last couple months, marketing wise, what you've been up to.
Yeah, that is a great question too. I think that it's shifted a little bit of how we do things. I think the big thing was that we had some pause in March, right? Thinking about some of the things that we used to do, announcing when we have closings or celebrating wins and things like that. It just didn't feel right to do it at the time, like immediately. But then we quickly found that people needed to hear that, right? It was really always about telling a story. Marketing is always telling a story before and now during the pandemic. It's more important than ever. And so letting consumers know that, real estate is essential. We are still out there. There are people needing to buy. There are people that need to sell and move. So our messaging is right about that. We let people know, and it's just not like, hey, we close a lot of sales, or it's not like that. It's really telling the story about who are these people that have sold a home and what happened, and maybe somebody else can relate to that. So we're telling stories behind whatever that we're posting. We're also shifting to, it was a time where everybody felt a little bit helpless. Like, how do we help people? And, when people get scared, they want to do something to make themselves feel better. And it's usually about helping others. So we shifted all of our marketing at that time when we were kind of stuck on what do we do? We don't know what to say about business as usual, even though it felt like there was a lot of stuff happening as usual. It was really about highlighting other businesses in our community and letting others know about what they're doing. So we did some marketing where we just did giveaways, right? So restaurant giveaways, gift certificates, because people are still doing takeouts, and people are scared to get out of their house. So highlighting what they're doing to do like curbside pickup. And so, at first, I have to say, I didn't really think of it as a marketing thing. It was just, let's go out and help people and do something that we feel is the right thing to do. And what it turned out to be was really surprising. We had a lot of direct messages behind the scenes, small business owners asking us for help, and that type of thing. So that shifted a bit and was really great for us.
Yeah, what I'm kind of hearing from you is if you kind of have the right kind of core values and kind of ethics as you run your business, then you're probably going to be in good shape. It's been very interesting to me talking to a lot of agents that some obviously have struggled during this time, and some are doing, quite well. And it kind of reminds me of, for those of you that are parents, and when you have a baby, and for most of us, the baby doesn't sleep through the night, and you see other parents and you're all exhausted, and then there's that one parent that says, wow, our baby's been sleeping through the night almost from day one, and you just want to kind of reach out and grab them. And that's what it kind of feels like right now to a degree in real estate. If you're having huge success, it almost feels kind of wrong to brag about it a little bit too much, but you obviously want to keep the gears moving. Tiffany, let me ask you, in the other half of Virginia, has your marketing changed at all over the last couple months?
So there's kind of two sides, right? And I think we'll probably touch on this a little bit, but there's two sides to this. It's lead gen, and then there's marketing. And I would say, as far as marketing message goes, we are trying to show people that life hasn't stopped. We are putting up our closings, are under contracts when we have new listings going. Our market is extremely competitive right now, tons of multiple offer situations, and we need inventory. So we have definitely shifted that message and trying to get people to understand that the market is still moving, and we do need people that are, if they feel comfortable, to list their home. And we've been explaining, what precautions we're taking and the steps we're using to keep people safe. So on the marketing side, I would say that, and also doing a little bit more kind of community spotlight stuff. I stay really well connected with my local community, and trying to highlight some of the businesses that maybe are struggling. Like we have a adorable little pretzel shop in a shopping center, and they're having a hard time staying open, so kind of doing that kind of stuff, supporting those local businesses as much as possible, and putting that out there. But then on the lead gen side, what's interesting there is that people are answering the phone. So if you guys are, if you're internet lead people, which we do a lot with internet leads, if you're internet lead people, we are doubling down. We're going back, we're digging through all of the old stuff, the people that stopped answering. Our answer rate has doubled. And that's a huge thing. So we're creating those relationships. So like I said, there's kind of two wings to it. There's the lead gen side and there's the marketing side. And yeah, a couple of things have changed. And on the lead gen side, we're casting a wider net. We're creating those relationships right now because people are at home and they're actually just really happy to talk to you. It's very different.
Yeah, I totally agree with that from kind of a psychological aspect. Oh my gosh, when my phone rings, I'm so excited. Like, even, bad telemarketers, I'm like, wait, tell me about your product. Like just
right.
A chance to engage with people.
Yes, people are interested in talking.
Renee, let me ask you a similar question. Obviously, you've had a little bit of downtime, and I know you and your husband do a lot of marketing. During this time, is there anything that has given you like reflection on, yeah, I don't think, in my future world, I'm going to do maybe as much marketing there, or I need to put more of an effort there. Have you thought about anything like long term, like, yeah, I need to change the mix up a little bit?
That's an interesting question, Mitch. I have to say that one skill set we really focus on and have for quite some time is to be focused on a particular area. I think as realtors, we often get distracted and we're trying a little bit of everything. And then what happens by that is if you hear someone say, I've sent postcards and they don't work, or I've tried social media ads and they don't work, or I've done customer appreciation events and they don't work. What typically that means is it would be better to pick one area and go all in with, in many cases, what needs to be at least a 12-month plan so that you're laser focused on pouring into that initiative or that resource or that offering, so that you have true data to analyze and understand what the results are. And why I mention that is, we build our business in two segments. We're into internet leads. It's what we've built our business on. Jeff created a website in 2007 that still serves us well, that's SEO based. But we also are very, very focused on nurturing relationships with our sphere of influence and previous customers. So we have a really healthy customer service plan that is in place, which is a 12-year plan that includes how many touches, how many phone calls, the postcards we're sending out, the customer appreciation events, but it's to really pour in and love on those contacts so that they are here and loyal and we become that continued resource for them.
Yeah, I that totally makes sense to me, is how do you take I don't even really love the word leads. I love the word contact, and then you turn them into something else. And how do you start that relationship somewhere towards the top of the funnel, an anonymous person, and then bring them into your world, so to speak. I want to ask you guys about a real estate trend and a marketing trend. I was on a panel at Inman with a lot of very self-important marketing people, such as myself, and we talked about a lot of kind of very tactical trends, like video is more important than ever. That's a pretty obvious one. And I tried to go out on a limb, and I'm curious if you guys agree or disagree, and I will like you just as much either way. I talked about this potential trend about social media burnout might be coming. And it's fine to start with people on social media. I'm a huge believer, first of all, in social media. It's done very well for our company, and I know for many of you. But I have this kind of feeling that there might be social media burnout at some point, and you have to find more ways to have personal contact with people. And it's funny that I said that about 2 months before the pandemic hit, where personal contact can mean a lot of different things these days. But I'm curious what each of you think in terms of, is social media, like, how does it fit in? I know it's great to talk about all the things you do, but to me, that's kind of more a top of the funnel kind of thing. Tannen, let me start with you. Is my theory just a made up thing in my head, or how do you think about social media?
Well, I hope it's not true. And I'm getting social media burnout. So I'll go on there, not nearly as much as what I used to over the last few years, but I definitely use it as a tool. And one of the things that I talk to our agents about all the time, and I use the reference to have them think about a personal injury attorney. Do you know personal injury attorney here in Orlando, here in your area? And we go into this whole conversation about who would you recommend? Are they familiar to you? Would you recognize their face if you walked into a room? And would you know how to contact them? And I use that as a reference because I think personal injury attorneys, I don't care what city you're in, there is a couple that dominate the market, and they do it because of those reasons. You can pick them out of a crowd, you know their face, you know what they do, and you know how to get a hold of them. And I think social media is that tool for us, a free tool at our disposal to get the same effect of making yourself noticed by video, putting your face out there. People will recognize you, they'll know what you do, and they know how to get a hold of you. So I hope it doesn't burn out, but I feel like I'm myself personally am getting burned out from social media.
Tiffany, I was on your Facebook page this morning and I really liked it. You have listings and closings, but I also learned about National Dance Like a Chicken Day. Okay. And you were getting engagement, asking people about their favorite movies and recipes. Tell us a little bit more, Tiffany, about where you are with social media right now.
So that's definitely the kind of stuff we do on our business page. And full disclosure, my admin takes care of all of that stuff as far as those posts go. But we do, we think there's a national something like a something day every day, and we really like to highlight the funny ones, and you get engagement that way. And then again, like I said earlier, sharing those closings and the new listings does help out, just in letting people know that you're busy and you're doing things. I'm not a huge social media person. I actually have to kind of force myself to do it, to be honest. It's not my favorite thing. So I'm forcing myself to do video and to show my personality online. So while I think that social media is a tool in the toolbox, I think it's not necessarily the worst thing that could happen if there was a little bit of burnout, because there's a whole lot of stuff going on there.
Yeah, and I think it kind of speaks to all of us, to all of you as agents and everybody watching us on the live stream and here in EXP World, that your marketing is probably going to be most effective when it's something you're passionate about. Sure, you want to be able to get ROI, return on investment on what you're doing, but if you're passionate about it, odds are it will work in your favor. If you're not, like, you need to have some sort of enjoyment with your job as well as driving the business forward. So, I see people, I talk to agents all the time, and they're kind of they feel guilty that they'll see some magic bullet out there and they'll be like, oh, why I should be doing that? I'm not good enough. And sometimes I disagree. I'm like, try different things, but go with what you're good with and move those levers kind of up and down as they work for you personally and for your business. Renee, same question for you. Where are you at with social media? I see you all over the place, first of all. So I will say you're probably passionate about it, which you check that box really well. But what do you think is, going on out there? You probably have data, and you also just have your gut instinct.
The social media is a tool, all of it, right? It's not a relationship building platform. It's a tool that will help you earn opportunities to then build the relationships, which is something we talk about on our team a lot. No matter what we're doing, it's to be present, to be the community mayor, if you will, as much as possible, and to providing provide value without a pitch, without an ask. I'm obviously very bullish on social media because I love platforms that, number one, I know my customer exists on, and also oftentimes the resources are free. As far as projecting out, will there be social media burnout? We'll just continue to focus on where our customers are. And if our customers are there, I will be there as well.
Yep, that makes total sense. I think it's a really smart way of thinking about it. Okay, let's move on to another area, especially in terms of trends. Being active in your community has always been so important to a real estate agent. A good friend of mine was talking recently about how real estate agents are like the mayors of their community. A good real estate agent knows all, helps all, has a service mentality all the time. But I'm kind of curious in this, like I hate to use the term new world because I don't have a crystal ball to know what the new world is like in your community tomorrow or a year from now or 18 months from now. But like, I want to ask each of you, Vic, let me start with you. Being active in your community, important? Will it be less important, more important? How are you going to do it?
Right. It has always been important to me to be a big part of our community. I've always looked at it as, it's where I live. I want to give back to the community anyway. So again, it's not so much about marketing, but it's about what can we do to help serve the community. So for the last, I would say 6 years, I've partnered with our local community where they have, events and various things that we pay to be a part of it, where we do joint marketing and get the message out to a lot of the community. Now, obviously, we don't have the gatherings. We can't do that. But, we're still partnering and talking about, hey, which restaurants need to be featured, which ones needs help. And in being a part of that, I've met a lot of people within that organization, and we've started small groups. So, with Nextdoor, it's something like a Nextdoor, but individual to each neighborhood, where they're starting their own neighborhood groups where people are doing outreach to folks that might be isolated, that needs help, older people that might not be able to go shopping. So it's amazing that I was invited into those groups and put in there. So I don't look at it as marketing because I'm not selling anything, but helping manage and lead those is really important to me. And I think that it confirms my thought of how community is so important. And yeah, I'm going to double down on that in the future. Whatever community marketing initiatives are out there, I'm in, because all these little ones that I did from the past, it really did help me to get invited into some of these smaller neighborhood groups where they're trying to reach out to neighbors and just helping. And so
yeah. I think that's such a big part of your job, and I will only disagree with you slightly. Sometimes the best marketing doesn't feel like marketing at all. I think you're doing it for all the right reasons, but I think you're doing marketing whether you realize it or not, which is even better.
Thank you.
Yeah. Tannen, let me ask you, I know you're super involved in your community. I've talked to you and I've heard of you do things in subdivisions, you do scavenger hunts, and I think Easter Bunny parades and July 4th things. Why is that important for your business, and do you think you're going to be able to do it in the future?
Yeah, so actually, a couple years ago, Dan and I, to give you a little background on where we live, we've got over 1,200 homes in our community. So it's one of the master plans, and it feels like it's our own little town. Everybody knows everybody, and all our kids go to school together, and it's just our own little Cypress Lakes town. And a few years ago, we were looking at our business and we're like, gosh, we live here. We've lived here for a few years, but we're not really getting any business from our neighbors. And we looked at how we're doing our marketing and what we were doing. We said, you know what? Maybe it's not always about what are we getting. It's more about what are we giving. So we a few years ago got really involved and have continued to stay involved in our community. And it's what we love to do. I mean, if you pick a board, one of us are on it. If there's an opportunity to volunteer, one of us are there. I mean, we are everywhere and anywhere. And it's funny because Renee asked me the other week when we were with her group, she said, what do you guys tell us about your day. What's something that you do every day? And I thought about it after the conversation. I thought, you know what? Most of our day is really, what are we out there doing for our community? We spend so much time on PTAs, and I'm our community poll clerk. And, like you said, we did the Easter Bunny thing. We usually have a huge Easter event, and this year we couldn't have it because of social distancing. So I emailed the board. I said, hey, I'll be happy to dress up as the Easter Bunny. And Dan drove me around the golf cart for 2.5 hours, and we hit every home in our neighborhood waving hi to the kids. And they were all out there. I mean, it was exciting. It just is such fun, good things to do that it's not even like we're out there marketing and working. It's more of fun things that we get to do every single day. A lot of the things that,
let me ask you a quick follow-up question. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but like, you're doing it for all the right reasons and you're passionate about it, but let me kind of dig a little deeper with you. All these things you do, have they led to business? Are you getting...
So this week alone, yes, it's so funny that you asked that. This week alone, we have 4 listings. And I'm not kidding, Mitch. Every single one of them has said to us, well, we do have another realtor that we could have used, and our friend's a realtor, but we love what you guys do for the community. 4 of them, 4 this week alone. And we've got 2 that are under... We've seen our business grow in our neighborhood from averaging 2 transactions a year from farming and being a part of our neighborhood to last year we had 12. So we had a huge increase. And this year we'll have 12 done by the end of June. So I think it's made a huge difference, and we just love doing it.
Yeah, that's just so fantastic. And I think that's the beauty of all of you that are watching right now, is all of you have the ability to market and improve, do more business every year in so many different ways. It can be social media, it can be community involvement, it can be lead generation. Find your passion, try to monitor how it's working, and odds are you will be successful with any part of the marketing mix. I kind of want to turn to, I think, Renee for a second. And I don't know if this is a trend or just something smart to do. And not every agent's able to do this, but you guys did a pretty significant sponsorship this year. And I'd love you to briefly tell everybody about it. And I'm going to hold your feet to the fire a little bit and ask you how you have been able to measure the success of it as well. So you've done a huge sponsorship with the NBA team in your market, the Orlando Magic.
We sure have, Mitch. So sponsoring an NBA team was a BHAG. For those who may not know, that acronym stands for Big, Hairy, Audacious Goal. I hope that each of you, if you haven't before articulated out loud and on paper what your BHAG is, I hope that you take time immediately to do so and make it so audacious that it is just that. It seems like it would never be attained. It was something that Jeff and I spoke about years ago, and we always kind of had that out there in the horizon as, well, maybe one day we will. And the reality is that came to fruition in 2019. We announced, actually, Mitch, we announced at EXPCon in Vegas with our team and many of our agents. Tannen was there. She's in our group, that we were sponsoring the Orlando Magic. It's a proud day. We're very early on in our partnership with the Orlando Magic. And so really, like any initiative that you have in your business, even at a very micro level, such as an Easter Bunny parade that Tannen does, I encourage you to dive into your CRM and be very diligent about understanding the source of each contact you have. You should have all your contacts labeled by source in which you met or that relationship originated. And why I mention that is because oftentimes, again, if we look at the measurement of the data, we need to be able to understand what that return on investment is. And sometimes you make decisions in your business that you have to know going into it. It's not going to yield you a measurable result in 3 months or 6 months. So Mitch, we have a multi-year contract with the Orlando Magic, and by no means did we think we would automatically see an ROI on that partnership. And then of course, March 12th happened when the NBA closed. And I will say that waking up that morning, and it was coincidentally the NBA closed and Shareholder Summit, this very conference, was postponed due to COVID. Jeff and I woke up that morning, and I have to say, if there was ever a time that we wanted to bury our head in the sand and not get up to face the world because we felt adversity that was awful, we acknowledged it, we got up, and we said, get in action, we'll get through it. There is uncertainty still to this day, but we're in it. We will prevail. And so it's not measurable right now, Mitch. We're early on in our partnership, but I do know this. The partnerships that you bridge, whether it's your next door neighbor or a big, hairy, audacious goal of partnering with a professional sports team, get into the relationships and earn your way through it, because the relationships you form, no matter where that is, in your local neighborhood or a professional team, they will help you grow your business.
Yeah.
Make sure you're measuring it though, and you have that trackable data so that you know that what the ROI is over time.
Yeah. Thanks, Renee. Tiffany, we're believe it or not, I could talk to you guys for another hour. This has been fascinating. It's always helpful to me to hear how you guys are succeeding. But Tiffany, I want you to go back in time a little bit with me if you can. We probably have a lot of agents watching on the live stream and here in EXP world that some of this seems probably almost overwhelming for them. Maybe they're just getting started. Maybe they haven't done a lot of marketing in the past. Take me back maybe to a little bit earlier in your career. How do you start? Where do you start? You can't do it all.
Yes, that's true. You really can't do it all. You have to pick. Generally, I like 3 things. A lot of people say one thing, but really, pick 3. Pick 3 things, and master those 3 things, and stick with those 3 things. So for me, one of the biggest, for me, at first, it was calling FSBOs, honestly. And I just got on the phone and I built my business fast. I created relationships with those people, and then I built those relationships out. So I've kind of always had the phone game going on, and that you can do for free. So you don't have to subscribe to something crazy to be able to just pick up the phone and get going, and then create a situation where you provide amazing value. And providing that amazing value gets you referrals. So then once you've built at least that little bit of a business, then you can start investing back into your business with other sources, like perhaps the internet lead side of things or more community involvement. But again, you can do a lot of community involvement for free too. But the biggest thing at first for me was, how can I get in front of people? If I can get in front of somebody, I know that I can win their business, but I have to get in front of them first. So how do I set that appointment? So open houses was one way that I did it, and FSBOs was the other. And getting in front of those people allowed me to create those relationships and expand my business into other means and methods.
Okay, that's a great answer. By the way, for those of you in EXP World, we just put up a survey link. If you saw that in chat, we'd love you to participate. Thank you for doing that. I think we have time for maybe one more question that I'm going to ask each of you. The original title of this presentation was Trends. So I'm going to ask you that question to sum up in a different way. As you look to the future, I want you to tell me something marketing-wise you think you should do more of. And here's the hard part. I want you also to tell me something maybe you think you should do less of. That's always the hard part, right? You don't have unlimited resources. So as you look towards the future, what's something you may want to do more of, and what's something you may want to do less of when it comes to marketing? Renee, I think I'll start with you.
I'm going to go tactical for you all. To do more of is long-form written content. Video is always king, but I'm forecasting out that long form written content, whether it's on Facebook, social media, is going to have strong legs for those who partake. And to do less of, I've actually completely stopped doing this. It's a bad habit, is do not put links in your social media content that brings the audience to an external platform. You want your audience to stay on that native content. So no links in social media that go onto an external platform. Caveat, you can still use links when you do ad campaigns, but if you're doing organic posts, do not put a link in that post.
Great tip. Same question for you, Tannen. What's something as you look towards the future you want to do more of marketing-wise, and what's something you want to do less of, or think you should do less of?
More of marketing. One thing Dan and I had talked about before was we feel pretty comfortable with the amount of transactions that we're getting and the impact that we're having on our neighborhood and the relationships that we're building with all of our neighbors and meeting new friends. And we thought, well, you know what, maybe we don't have to cast out as many nets to catch the same amount of fish. And then we decided maybe that's not the case. Maybe we need to cast out bigger nets and go beyond just what our neighborhood is, because we do focus a lot on our community that's directly in our neighborhood. But I would love to branch out and be more an East Orlando realtor and doing these things for other neighborhoods as well. So that's our goal, is to branch out a little bit bigger and do a little bit more and get more involved in other things besides just what's in our community, and less of something. I almost want to say videos online. I feel like I'm always on there, and I might do too much within the community, and I have a hard time deciding, what's too much and what's too little. Am I overdoing it or just enough? So I guess that would be one thing for me to look at.
Okay, that makes total sense. That self-reflection is always good. Tiffany, same question for you, and then we'll finish up with you, Bick. Something you think you need to do more of marketing in the future, and maybe something you need to pull back on.
Okay, I'm really glad I was third for this one. Thanks, guys. I needed to think for a minute. I'm going to put it this way. I'm going to do more attracting business and less chasing business. So what I mean by that is, in the future, probably a 3 to 5 year plan for me is more referrals and building my business through referrals and being a household name in my community, and less of purchasing leads and internet leads. So creating that database right now is where we're at. We're creating the database. You have to buy some leads to do that if you want to do it quickly. So that's what we're doing. But when we're continuing to nurture that database over time, and eventually the database will be what provides us with the business. So attracting. And then the second thing I'll say to that we're doing more of, and it's something that we've always done, I just didn't really make it very well known. And the EXP platforms have really helped with this, and through iBuyer programs. So we've always offered multiple options to our clients, but we've never really advertised it very well. So integrating the platforms that I have at my disposal is definitely something that we're going to do more of in the future, and making that more well known so that clients know they have options, whether it's a sell it now option or a renovate to sale option. Making that more well known and being able to kind of integrate better what our services are.
That's great. That is super, super smart. Makes a ton of sense to me. Bick, let's finish up with you. Something marketing wise as we look forward that you think you should be doing more of, and what should you be doing less of?
All right, great. So for me, I think it's going to be less of the print ads, less print brochures. Nobody wants to touch anything anymore. Everything digital, I think, is going to be really important. Because we do have some luxury properties that we sell. We always feel like they have to have something to take away. We're seeing now that that's not really important. And so readjusting our funds of, where we put our dollars. Videos, I think, is still going to be huge. That's really important. And I agree with what everybody's talking about. Attraction is also really important, and being that mayor of your community. So whatever that means on social media, starting Facebook groups, neighborhood groups, whatever that is, having direct communications with the consumer, the neighbors, the community, so that you have real engagement, right? So what we're trying to create is some type of engagement. There's like a Facebook Live. Maybe it's not going to be Facebook Live, but it's something like that through StreamYard, where you host, video of community stuff or open houses, but you allow people to actually engage in it. I think that's the wave of the future, that people are wanting to be a part of it and talk as you go, as opposed to, recording something and posting it, and that's the end of that. I think it's people wanting to deal with it real time.
That makes total sense. Great comments, Bick. Hey, we are right at the bottom of the hour. This hour has flown, at least for me. I want to encourage all of you that are with EXP to go into Workplace, look up these 4 agents, become friends with them. They have great things to share, and you may have great things to share with them as well. For those of you that have been watching the live stream on YouTube, there's this little machine called the Google machine. Look these people up, find them, talk to them, learn from them. I can't thank the 4 of you enough for making time to do this. And big thanks to our audience of EXP folks here in our virtual world, as well as all of you on YouTube for watching. Everybody stay safe and have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much, everybody. And hey, if you're in the world right now, F4, let's clap for these people. Thanks, everybody.